But isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of,
I see it differently. And I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby,
right.
Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. Like, that's basically your whole feed. So that's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against itself.
That view is not.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. It's your man, World. And man, has Van Jones really stepped in it this time. And sure, he has apologized, but is that enough? Or does he just have a reputation of being one of the worst propagandists the world has ever seen? Because I would call him one of the best propagandists, but it's not like he's really good at it. He was just someone who was talking political in college, was given a lot of money, and then those views subsequently just completely changed. It's not like he's an idiot. Just corrupt and kind of a prostitute that will say anything and hold any position for money, whether it's supporting any war or even genocide, to believing that AI is the great savior of us all. If you paying, he's saying.
He said AI is the closest thing to reparations black people are gonna get.
Yes.
Van Jones, defend that statement, sir.
Well, first of all, we ain't getting nothing. so even 1 micrometer closer to beyond nothing is I win, okay? But what's the next best thing? A fair shot. AI puts us at even Steven. You may not have gone to the fanciest school in the world, but right now you can have ChatGPT on your phone and you don't even have to be able to write. You can literally just push the button and start talking, asking questions, and you can, for free, now if you want to throw a little bit more money in, it'll go faster, but for free, there are tools that will have you functioning at the level of somebody who did get the 4 years of college, who did go to the fancy high school. I'm not saying it's going to happen in 1,000 years. I'm saying that's today, right now. Get it on your phone and fool around with it.
Maybe saying he's not an idiot is giving too much credit. Because if only the richest people the world has ever seen control all of the information and the infrastructure and are the only ones that profit from it, who does it actually benefit? How is that a fair shot? A fair shot to what? When it's drinking up millions of gallons of fresh water and polluting entire areas at a time. Who does that actually benefit? But that's not the point of this video. But making a dead babies joke on Bill Maher was just the perfect place and situation for the rest of the world to catch up on the terrible human being that is Van Jones. Make no mistake, the joke, quote unquote, that he said on Bill Maher was not a slip of the tongue. It was something written down, hoping to land as a punchline. He's the person that gets trotted out on CNN and these network shows to limit what protests are deemed reasonable, while creating false equivalencies to make people, well-meaning people, second guess what actually is the correct position on things, like he did on CNN last year.
I think it's a little bit naive for some people to think that if Israel were just to suddenly just stop doing what it's doing, that rainbows and bunnies and sunshine would break out over the Middle East and it would all be, be fine. The hostages have to be returned. If you can call for a ceasefire on both sides. Hamas is still firing its rockets. They still have hostages kidnapped. So this is a complex issue, but here's what's not complicated. Politics can be complicated. Geopolitics can be really complicated. How you treat your neighbors, how you treat people in your community is not complicated. You don't run up, I haven't seen any Jewish people running up on mosques with Israeli flags. If they did that, I'd be denouncing that too. There are certain things you don't do. It is a red line. If you want to be a part of a protest and they say, we're going to go to a Jewish community center, we're going to go to a mosque, we're going to go to a Jewish restaurant, that's not a protest. That's a pogrom. That's an anti-Jewish bigoted act. If you want to be a part of a protest, let's go to a mosque. Let's go and harass the Muslims. That's not a protest. So we've got to get clear in our country what is a fair protest, about policy, you can agree or disagree, and what's going after people, human beings, terrifying moms, grandmas, children who are trying to be a part of a neighborhood. The Jewish neighborhoods in LA are well known. Nobody is confused where they are. So if you show up there wearing a keffiyeh, you show up there with your face covered, you show up there chanting river to the sea, that would be just like a white person running up with a Confederate flag in Harlem. You're not trying to start a conversation, you're trying to start a fight. Stop doing that. Don't do that. We don't want more violence. We don't want more fear. We don't want more terrified people. We've got to be able to come together as a country. If either side had an easy answer, it would have been solved. I'm less concerned about the politicians now. I'm concerned about the people in my community in Los Angeles moving in a direction that is more and more dangerous, more and more scary, more and more destructive. The Jewish community does not need to have people doing those types of things. It's not helping anybody in Palestine, but it's making America a much less safe place for everybody.
Ah, yes, of course. Anti-genocide protests are the same in causing harm and scaring people as actual genocide itself. Great point, Van. Great point. And even when he said this at the time, journalist Max Blumenthal will call him out for being a ridiculous sellout, saying Van Jones calls a protest against the colonial settlement auction a pogrom. He's likened the keffiyeh to a Confederate flag and spoke at a genocidal Zionist rally for war on Gaza. Here's a little clip of Van Jones speaking at that rally.
Let's take a stand here against anti-Jewish bigotry. Let's take a stand against Muslims. Let's take a stand against Muslims.
Let's take a stand against Muslims.
Let's take a stand here against hatred. Let's take a stand here against hatred of all kinds.
Possibly the biggest sellout I've met in media. And to prove that it's not something that Van Jones has always believed in, here's Van Jones in 1993.
Now, if students can do that in 1960, if students can do that in 1970, if students can do that in 1985 and 86, in 1993, when we have the United States government building a death camp, a concentration camp for black people who have done nothing wrong but get sick and want justice. That's all they've done wrong. If we can't close that death camp, if this generation cannot prevent another Japanese American internment in our lifetime, we should all get haircuts and go get regular jobs and give it up.
Imagine fighting for liberation of some people, but not others. If it's not everybody, it's nobody. And I guess by regular job, he meant starting a 501c3 and taking billionaire funds, pushing for wars and AI companies. I don't know how quote unquote regular that type of job is, but it seems like the path he went down. Do you think the college version of yourself is proud of you, Van? I doubt it. But he did give some halfway ChatGPT style apology on Twitter. You can read it here. It's not worth me reading out loud. You know it's nothing concrete, but nobody's really buying it, and no one actually should. No one should buy anything this man ever has to sell, because it's always nonsense. He's just a puppet. And you know it's bad when even usually mild-mannered people like Aaron Mate or Norman Finkelstein has something negative to say. Like Norm tweeting, the question that the whole world is asking, when Van Jones screws his mistress, does he wear the yellow ribbon? Which I had to double and triple check if this was actually Norm, but it definitely was from his Twitter account. Journalist Aaron Mate would also respond to his quote-unquote apologies, saying if Van Jones had made a joke about the murder of one Jewish child, he'd be instantly fired from CNN. But because he made a joke out of Israel's murder of some 20,000 Palestinian children, this 2 days later fake apology will suffice. And even Sabby Sabs will say, "You're not sorry. You said exactly what you meant. You're just another puppet for Israel." And if that claim needed evidence, here it is.
Van Jones really is an American hero. He is such a friend of the Jewish community. He wears that pin on CNN. What I love about Van is that he makes so much sense, and he's so candid. And of course, we don't have to agree on everything. But the love that you have shown our community, and
the love that your community has shown my community for 100 years. is where the sentence starts. And we've been together for 100 years, we're going to be together for 100 more.
God
And it's
bless
an
you.
honor to be here today.
Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Just know that for you to be here on the
Legend.
80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz is a really big deal.
Well,
and our community really appreciates it. God bless you.
To be here with a legend like you is an honor beyond words. Appreciate you, brother.
God bless you, Ben.
I don't know if it's an honor, but it for sure is beyond words. That's the best way to put it. Don't forget to like this video, and if you're still watching, you might as well subscribe to the channel. Peace.